It's Puppy again. Puppy with Navi is joining us. And a question on everybody's minds. People are still talking about that amazing game against Tong Fu. I want to know what it was like inside the pod early on when we all kind of thought, we don't know if they can come from behind on this. How did you rally the troops for that?
After each punch hook, we went nuts every time. So I guess on plus morale, we kind of started beating our enemies down, and they weren't expecting this at all. So, we were like, yeah, they don't expect this at all. So that's pretty much how it went down.
Moving forward against Alliance, how excited are you guys, and how much of an exciting match do you think it's going to be? Because people are buzzing about what that's going to look like between the two teams.
I really don't know what it will be. We have to play top-notch to put a fight up against Alliance. And if we do, we might win, we might lose, but if we do play like top-notch, it's going to be crazy games.
Can't wait to see it. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Puppy.
Clement Ivanov, Puppy, Estonia, Tartu.
Alexander Dashkevich, Hvost, Kiev, Ukraine.
Kuro Zalei Takhazomi, Kuroki, Berlin, Germany.
Gleb Lepatnikov, Fanik, Kharkiv, Ukraine.
Данил Шутин, Денди, Lviv, Ukraine.
Na'Vi, then the only team left that have a chance to win the international titles. This is going to be history if they can win this game and go all the way, but can they do it? Havos, Korok, Puppy, Dendi, and Funnick are going to have to take down Alliance. Just winning this game will guarantee you $60,000. We're already in the draft, so let's introduce Alliance to the stage.
With Alliance joins us now, and we've been covering this for a few days now, but we noticed Swedish TV is here too. What is it like knowing that you basically have your entire country back home watching you and supporting you?
It feels great with the full Swedish support from our country, but we try to do our best to win.
Everyone is very excited for this upcoming match. Are you looking forward to facing Na'Vi? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's going to be a good game, I think. We'll try our best to beat Na'Vi. They're a tough team, but we're confident.
I think everyone feels like they're just going to buckle in and enjoy the ride. Good luck to you guys. I know it's going to be a fantastic match, and we'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Henrik Arnberg, Admiral Bulldog, Trollhättan, Sweden.
Joachim Achterhall, Aki, Gothenburg, Sweden.
Jerry Lundqvist, EGM, Sweden, Västerås.
Jonathan Berg, Loda, Gothenburg, Sweden. Gustav Magnusson, S4, Stockholm, Sweden.
Alliance, the team that is really impressed so far this tournament. They're still the team to beat, I feel. They're fighting for Sweden. Admiral Bulldog, S4, Aki, EGM, and Loda. This would be huge if they could make it into the grand finals. The draft's on the way. Bruno, I just want to hear what you've got to say before the game.
Well, normally I have stats for you, but with the match so even, this stats book is of no use. So I have to return to something more serious, more important. So I have it here prepared for me.
Okay.
Wait. It's not over yet. I'm going to call the spirits. I don't know who I'm going to get. I might get Pyrion Flax. I might get Ice Frog. So if there's anyone there, can you hear me?
Hello, Bruno.
Oh my God, how are you? Who is it?
You sound disappointed. It's gods. How are you?
Gods.
The spirit of gods.
Gods, tell me, who is going to win and why? Na'Vi or Alliance?
Well, Alliance, they are playing like the best team in the world. Meanwhile, Na'Vi, they're playing like the only team in the world who could beat the best team in the world. So I've got to say, Alliance are going to take it, but Na'Vi are going to put up a hell of a fight.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. See you later. Bye-bye. And with that, we go into the game.
Yeah, we're going. Alliance versus Na'Vi. Game one. Take it away, guys.
Na'Vi versus Alliance.
Greetings and salutations, Dota fans. Welcome in to the floor of beautiful Benaroyo Hall, the International 2013, the upper bracket finals. I'm AC, that's Draskell, and I think we lucked out on the game we get to cast today. The most highly anticipated game of the entire tournament so far. Alliance taking on Na'Vi. Now, these two teams Fan favorites the world over. Their play styles far apart but close together at the same time. High flying at times, stable at times. Impossible to predict what we're going to see, except possibly the best series in international history.
I'm like shaking, you know, in anticipation for this match. It's going to be such a good set of games. Looking at the draft already, Na'Vi, not only have they banned out the Nature's Prophet, they've also banned out the Lone Druid, and they get their hands on a Wisp. This is something that complements Na'Vi's style so well. They love high-octane play, aggression, consistently apply the pressure. On the other hand, you have Alliance. They have the Naga Siren, the capability of counter-initiation, the threat of a slow early push coming on from Chen. You just have both teams. They're going for completely different styles right now, but it's too hard to say early on who has the edge in the draft. All I know is that regardless of what the draft's going to be, these games are going to be sick.
Absolutely. Seeing an IO pickup right out the gate, you have the Gyrocopter, not quite on the par of a CK or a hero like that you traditionally see paired with him, but it can work extremely well even from the early stages. The power of Call Down, the power of Rocket Barrage, the amount of damage you can output on a single target if you're able to isolate them. But then Alliance. Alliance has Bulldog's two main heroes, Nature's Prophet and Lone Druid, banned away from them because they didn't pick the Druid. However, he will get another hero for which he is quite famous, that Bounty Hunter pickup with the Chin already on the lineup. Of course, Ake, one of the best Chin players the world over. Naga Siren, as you said, the perfect answer to an IO gank-centric kind of a draft. Already these teams in each other's head, and already the game looking to shape up to be very even.
I feel as though Alliance having to take the Bounty Hunter in this position puts Na'Vi at a bit of an advantage. Bounty Hunter kind of fell out of competitive play because teams started to realize how to punish him. You go for the early aggression, you go for the push. He kind of needs an item, especially BKB, to be able to sustain in fights and continue to go for the track kills and just basically remain relevant. But they do have a Naga Siren to back it up. It's probably going to be support. We haven't seen Alliance run Naga Siren carry, I don't think, this entire tournament. And Na'Vi, they're picking up a Sand King, another hero we really haven't seen too much. And Sand King, fantastic, of course, in team fights. We're talking about Epicenter and Call Down, and of course the threat of getting a Wisp teleporting on you with the Epicenter basically already channeling, which is always very, very potent. But we'll have to see what the last two from each team is going to be. Looking at it right now, I would say that if Na'Vi is able to remain consistent in their early game and not give away too many track kills, their team fight is obviously monstrous.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm looking to see them go for some team fighting here.
Puck gonna pick up, or gonna be the pickup for Alliance in fourth position. Of course, S4, phenomenal Puck player. I suspect that's a hero we're gonna see given a lot of priority all throughout the draft, just because Puck is so well played by S4 and Dindy both. But again, back to Na'Vi's draft. Gyrocopter, Sand King. Yeah, team fight, they got a bit of it. What they want to put together here next, well, that's Sand King, first of all. Let's talk about that. We've actually seen that hero more and more lately. Something you used to see occasionally. Run him mid, give him a little bit of farm priority, or even let him farm out of an offensive tri-lane. They have an IO, so that's probably not going to be the case. But anything you can do to give the Sand King an early level advantage, make sure he gets to level 6 on time, he can begin to hook up with the Gyrocopter. The power of Epicenter and Call Down is just absolutely monstrous, and he's actually not bad, as you said. The IO can function as a makeshift kind of blink dagger for him. It means he doesn't have as much pressure to farm up and get gold and get those two key items, the Arc Boots and the blink dagger, as early as he would like. Windrunner going to be the fourth pickup for Na'Vi. We've been seeing them run that hero a lot lately. We casted Funnick on that hero just yesterday. Funnick, a phenomenal Windrunner player in his own right, and even more magic damage coming out now. You cannot underestimate just how strong Power Shot can be when put in conjunction with a Gyrocopter, all the magic damage he has at his disposal, and of course, the big bad Epicenter.
Yeah, Epi and the AoE team fight of Na'Vi right now is obviously the big focus, but what's important to remember here too about the Windrunner pick is normally Alliance, they get an offlaner who can jungle. They either get the Lone Druid, sometimes they get the Prophet, actually more so Prophet, at least at TI3, but since it's a Windrunner, most likely going to be doing Ancients, the Bounty Hunter can't really collapse and do the same thing, obviously, because of the fact that he's a melee hero. So I think that Na'Vi have kind of put Alliance in a situation where they're not going to be able to utilize the map as well as they normally do. Sometimes they get their hands on things like Coddle, they double jungle with their support, they're able to effectively farm, whereas right now, those two heroes that Bulldog would use to do that are both taken away from him. So obviously Alliance ending things out with the Alchemist. It's going to be their one role, which means support Naga Siren, which is pretty standard so far, I would say, for this tournament. And it's basically a very greedy last pick, and Na'Vi now have the opportunity to go for that kind of mid-early game aggression that they so love to do.
I'll tell you something that I really like out of Alliance's lineup is if this game does go late, obviously a well-farmed Gyrocopter, so tough to deal with even for an Alchemist because he does have that range. Alchemist can be kited on occasion, but with Alchemist having Naga Siren on team with him, that's one dedicated disable in the ensnare that will go through BKB. That gives Alchemist every chance in the world to get on top of the gyro and do that late game damage. You can't underestimate how important that is, but a Skywrath Mage pick gonna round things out. Skywrath Mage, a hero Na'Vi has experimented with from time to time. We have seen Dindy be extremely successful on this hero in a variety of tournaments, most of them, however, online. A pick that we don't see often, but we get to see it here in Game 1 of the upper bracket finals. Could not ask for more.
Well, the damage output right now of Na'Vi in terms of sheer physical or sheer magic damage is insane, right? You have Flare, you have Power Shot, Sand King, Gyrocopters, Rocket Barrage. The capability of almost instantly killing somebody is insane.
Oh, it's huge.
So if you get caught out by that, you're not going to be able to do much. And let's not forget how good Ancient Seal is against heroes like Puck. It's a 6-second silence, increases the damage that you take, and everything on the side of Na'Vi complements each other very well. But we also have to remember, Skywrath is, let's be honest, he's really gankable. He's one of the squishiest heroes in the game, one of the lowest strength gains, and there's a bounty hunter on the side of Alliance. So now Admiral Bulldog, whereas before I would have said that he couldn't really do a whole lot, even just a bounty hunter walking around and being annoying to the supports in a jungle of Na'Vi, he'll try to find something, but once he gets 6, I think that Alliance are just as willing to apply pressure as Na'Vi will be.
The crowd feels the electricity. The upper bracket finals just about to get underway as the teams make their way out into the lanes. Looks like they're going to be heading to different parts of the map, so we'll run through our lineup, see who's handling who. Sand King going to be played by Puppey. Gyrocopter going to be handled by Havost. Skywrath Mage played by Dindy. I hear he's got a fan or two in the house. That's right. Kuro going to be playing on our IO, and of course Funnick playing on the Windrunner. On the other side of the river, S4 setting up shop in mid on the Puck. We'll have Chen played by Ake, no argument. That's his signature hero. Alchemist going to be farmed by Loda. Naga Siren handled by EGM. And Admiral Bulldog will be playing on the Bounty Hunter.
So the lane's looking to shape up pretty much how you would expect. Going to be a safe lane, Alchemist coming out here from Alliance, and then Na'Vi, of course, going to be doing the safe lane, tri-lane. So we'll see who's going to be getting the experience from the pulls. The thing about Na'Vi's supports is that both of them kind of want level 6. Puppey even wants 7 to make sure that he gets max range on that Burrow Strike. So there is a bit of concern that spreading the experience too thin between these heroes could be a bit of an issue early on for Na'Vi. But of course, they are a very experienced team, and they also have a hero who can actually get something out of their off lane. Whereas again, the Bounty, he had to start with Boots. So the fact that Admiral Bulldog started off with Boots, he's going to be playing very passive here. Both offlaners going to be suffering a bit. And interestingly enough, Alliance actually not warding the Ancients. I thought by now people would maybe start to do that, but not going to be the case.
And we can see the lanes taking shape. Should be a relatively quiet early game, but again, there's really no way to tell just how long that's going to last. Dindy on the Skywrath Mage, you kind of touched on this. Skywrath Mage, very much a snowball kind of a hero. If he gets behind, it could be tough to catch up because he's so reliant on magic damage. And once BKB start to come out, once you start to see health pools go up, this is a hero that does have some struggles. And now we're going to have Bulldog pursued out by Kuro. Puppey right on his tail. He will be able to Shadow Walk one more time. He's going to take a tower shot on his way through, but will be able to make it to relative safety. He's right on top of poor Funnick. And Funnick will go ahead, drop a sentry. And there it is, he sees him. No disable, hasn't placed a point yet. And Bulldog gonna trade shots with Funnick, at least for the moment. No one else coming back over, check that. We do have Puppey making his way over. Bulldog at half health, now Funnick down just above half. And looks like Bulldog content to just hang out for the moment, just keeping an eye on things. And again, this comes down to the Ancients. We can see this illusion from Ake blocking out the Ancient spawn or trying to do so. Keep an eye on them. Bulldog will be able to make it back to safety though.
Yeah, they know that Bulldog's not going to get anything, so it's like, all right, you know what, just go over there and make sure that the Windrunner isn't getting anything extra. Try to make sure your team isn't innately falling behind, because let's be honest, this Bounty Hunter is going to be suffering in the early game. But it looks like they are giving at least some of the experience to Kuro here in the jungle, so the Wisp is going to be getting priority on level 6, which I think is the right call, because as soon as you get relocate on the Gyrocopter, you can start ganking. You can go for pretty much anybody, and since Naga Siren's song is going to be a little bit later than it would be normally because he's a support, I think we could see some early aggression coming out from Na'Vi.
And Bulldog spotted out, going to be Burrow struck. And just not enough damage output. Right clicks on the IO and the Sand King. Enough to make him a little angry, but not much else. Taking a look at the mid matchup and where things happen to stand for the moment, we can see Dindy sitting at 6 CS to the 6 of Puck. So a break even so far between S4 and Dindy.
Well, this matchup is interesting because early on, the puck is going to have a slight advantage, at least in terms of being able to harass. It's very, very easy to phase shift Arcane Bolt, so he's probably never going to get hit by that. But when you start getting more levels, you can get Ancient Sealed and just die. Like one Concussive Blast and a Flare and that Ancient Seal, and you're pretty much done for. So eventually, I think that Dendy's probably going to get the upper hand here. But he's also very gankable. We mentioned that before. And just one rotation coming out from a Chen and a Naga Siren. One Ensnare is going to be a dead Dendy pretty much.
Bulldog found himself a haste rune, continuing to just bounce around. He's picked up every bit of 36 experience points so far, so really not making too good progress towards. You can just see the damage output on S4 here. That's just what Skywrath Mage does. Nukes you from 100 to 50% that quickly. Rotation out of Bulldog, making his way over to mid. Phase shifts out, and we'll see if he wants. He doesn't even have a Janata yet. Has not hit level 2 to have it, so most he can do is a little right click. Taking some pressure off of S4, but elsewhere, the lane's relatively quiet. Taking a look at Loda, he's sitting on top of the CS board at 19, Gyro at 17, so more or less a break even out of that. But yeah, what it's all going to come down to is this mid lane. Who's going to begin to put priority on ganking, and when will the Bounty Hunter finally find that level 6? Hell, he's looking for level 2. He'd be happy for that.
Well, we also have to remember Funnick's in the same boat. I mean, he's sitting here doing Ancients. He hasn't really gotten any experience of his own. Ake did one block, I think, with the images, and then Bounty Hunter can run around and do that as well because he's not going to be getting anything at all from this bottom lane. So it's free farm versus free farm here. Obviously, Habos getting free farm, Loda getting free farm as well. The Alchemist is going a greedy build, though. I'm pretty sure he just picked up a Midas recipe. So yeah, he is going full on. I'm going to try to get a 6-slot inventory at around 25 to 30 minutes, which is very, very possible, especially when he's maxing Greevil's Greed. He's not going max Concoction, which we've seen most people do. But the thing that I'm interested in more, actually, is mid and seeing who actually comes out on top. Because the way that Dendy's playing it right now, he uses Seal to ensure that there's no phase shift, just to pressure S4 out of lane. But with Bottle Crowing, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do it fully.
Yeah, S4's been taking a bit of a beating, but like you said, he's had enough health. Bulldog will be spotted out, Burrow struck. Will have a lot of damage to follow it up. Making his way to the safety of S4, who will throw out the orb. And Puppey just level 1, or actually did catch level 2 there. Kuro's actually level 3, which isn't bad, given how little experience there has been to go around down in this Radiant side jungle. But quicker Kuro could get the 6, the quicker they can begin to open this map up. And certainly Navi's lineup, one that wants to fight sooner rather than later, almost entirely dependent on magic damage, at least until the Gyro begins to build right-click in the late game.
And wanting to fight early is something that's going to be Navi's go-to, more or less. You do not want to let a Midas Alchemist sit and pretty much do his thing. So now we can see Navi, they're starting to pressure the bottom tier 1. They got 3 range creeps at Catapult, so this push is going to be quite strong. I don't even know if they can afford to rotate a support over. What's more likely to happen is what actually Alliance is doing now. And they're rotating Ake, at least behind the tier 1. Funnick going to have to be careful here. He does have boots, and he's level 2, so he has a point at a wind run, and there's no net creep, so he should be fine for the moment. But I don't think that Navi necessarily are going to try to defend this tower either.
Tier 1 bottom will drop. And Loda and company trying to trade towers down there. We can see S4 is actually continuing to just take a beating out of Dindy here. And that mid matchup, we're going to have to continue to keep an eye on. But now with the depth of the tier 1s, this is where things can get a little bit more frantic across the map. We see S4 hanging around with less than 120 HP. And yeah, Navi's not done. They're pushing all the way up under the tier 2. S4 finally gets his bottle back, but Loda and EGM continuing to try to put as much pressure as they can onto that top tier 1. We're going to see Ake making his way around towards mid, and Dindy going to have to be very careful. S4 got him with the coil. Here comes the Centaur. There's the immediate reaction. They're going to try to follow it up. Puppey's there, and S4 will catch the Burrow strike. Can they follow it up? No, he phase shifted. Silence, but it doesn't matter. Navi draws first blood, and he does it with a pincer instead of a Burrow. Navi got the tower first and got the first blood, off to a decent little start at 6 minutes in.
Really, really nice reaction from Navi. I mean, that teleport was almost instant. As soon as they saw the Chen creeps, they knew it was coming. It is a bit predictable to assume that they're going to gank on the middle lane, especially because Skywrath at this point doesn't even have boots. His base move speed's pretty high, but I mean, if you get caught by a coil like that, for most intents and purposes, you should be dead. But Navi realized the inherent weakness of Skywrath mid, so they capitalize on a bit of over-aggression coming out from Alliance. And this top tier 1 hasn't even dropped yet, so Navi maintain their tower. It's still at about half HP. I'm curious to see if Loda's going to go for the Shadow Blade or if he wants to go full-on into the Battle Fury, because Shadow Blade would mean that he can actually fight, which is obviously Navi's game plan. But if he fights with just the Shadow Blade, I feel like he's still a little bit weak. There's a lot of stuns. I feel like he actually needs 2 items to really contribute here.
Honestly, when you look at Navi's lineup, a BKB at some point is going to be absolutely essential. And I'm with you. It's kind of tough to determine exactly what his build's going to be. Already fairly greedy with the Midas. I feel like Midas BKB would be greedy to the point of really just putting yourself at an inherent disadvantage. I mean, when you have that much to worry about and you know that they're going to want to fight you sooner rather than later, a Midas should be enough to give you the farm advantage you're looking for. Now we got Puppey, Hvost, and Kuro looking to zone Bulldog out there, applying pressure, and over on the side, Funnick netted down, and they're going to be able to clean him up. Alliance gets themselves on the board. We see S4 taking some more damage in mid. Dendi able to zone him out once again. Loda with a big creep wave, making his way back towards the Tier 1. However, Na'Vi has yet to abandon the siege of the Tier 2 bottom. So far, at least in terms of the push power, Na'Vi taking the advantage and not giving it away. Puppey staying in a very aggressive position. In the meantime, Loda does finally bring down that Tier 1 top.
Well, the thing that's interesting here is Na'Vi are basically conceding experience for gold right now. No, they're going to get a smoke or a dust on Bulldog.
Here we go. Bulldog going to be caught with the call down. Hand of God, not nearly enough. Na'Vi not only going to get the tower, and they certainly will get that tower. They find themselves another kill, and that is so good for those supports. Obviously, it's great to have Hvost involved in the early battles, but just getting the extra experience for Puppey, the extra gold for Puppey to get closer to that Blink Dagger. He's already got Tier 1 boots and about 1,000 gold in the bank. We'll see if he wants to rush straight to the Blink or if he's going to go ahead and grab a set of Arc boots. With an IO on team, I would understand going. Hang on. There it is. Na'Vi with the rotation out of Puppey and Kuro. Caught S4 asleep at the wheel and made him pay. Make it 3-1.
And the Skyrest does so much work against the puck. There's absolutely nothing you can do. It's an instant cast. The range is very long, and it's 4 seconds of silence even at level 2. And plus you take 24%, or actually it's 24% magic resistance reduction. So incredible combo coming out from Na'Vi. Very, very high kill potential. You can already hear the Na'Vi chant starting.
Yep.
They definitely have the early game momentum. That's what they're looking for.
This is very much Na'Vi's style. Very emotional, momentum-based team, and the crowd behind them, at least a large section of them, the loud ones anyway, right guys? Anyway, here in mid, we're gonna see S4 rejoining back up. And 9.5 minutes in, we're gonna see Puppey and Kuro making a run towards mid again. Let's see if they can make it happen a second time. S4 withdrawing, should be able to make it away to safety and will. But this is what we're going to see, and I really like the way Navi's playing this. What I think they're going to do is stick Kuro with Puppey the vast majority of the time, at least through the early parts of the early game and on into the mid game. Then after that, they'll begin to rotate themselves over to the Gyro and give him a lot more priority in terms of the relocation games.
Well, the thing about keeping the Initiator on the side of Alliance down is there's not going to be a Blink Dagger on S4 for ages.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, typically by 10 minutes, S4 either has a Blink or he's very close. He doesn't even have Treads finished, and he was forced to buy a Belt of Strength because he wants to try to live through the burst damage that Na'Vi have. The problem is he actually can't lane against Dendi anymore. He's going to get another point into Ancient Seal as soon as he hits 9, and he can essentially solo him at that point, assuming his flare is placed properly. So this is a really dangerous situation because normally you rely on your mid Initiator to create a little bit of space for you, but because of this mid, I mean, it's almost a counter pick and how good Skyreth is against, well, this particular hero due to the fact that you can't use Phase Shift against him. So very, very nice pick coming out from Na'Vi, and the way that they're playing it so far, they haven't really made any mistakes. So
rolling past 10 minutes, we'll take our first look at the gold graph. Just about dead even. Very close. The experience, though, slightly in favor of Alliance. They've just been able to manage their experience gain a little bit more. Of course, a lot of that owing to Kuro and Puppey spending so much time drifting across the map. We do have a smoked Ake here in mid. He's going to show his face, show the flag a bit. Here come the creeps, and they got the net. Immediate reaction. Here comes Puck. He's going to end up dropping it. Puppey silenced the coil. Puppey in trouble. Bulldog's there. Burrow strikes, catches S4, will end up dead nonetheless. Kuro's there, now left by himself. Nothing he can do but hook up with Funnick. Another orb going to be coming in. Track out on Kuro. Call down. Going to be enough to buy some space for Na'Vi. And Hvost getting there not a minute too early. Got there just in time to stop what could have gotten much, much worse. However, nonetheless, Alliance tallying a couple of kills on their own, and Bounty manages to find Io. Hvost going to be engaging on S4. Beautiful phase shift, but it doesn't matter. Song of the Siren from EGM. Daylight and $1 short as they lost the hero before he could get into range. 4-4, an absolute slugfest here in this middle lane. Hvost hooking up now with Dendi and Funnick. And we'll see how hard they want to push it. Over at top, Loda continues to find his free farm. He did go with the Shadow Blade build, so he's going to be ready to start fighting as soon as Alliance needs him to.
That was a great move by Alliance, though, just forcing such a huge reaction on a Na'Vi. Puppey accidentally stunned out of his Sandstorm when he wasn't tracked. I think maybe he thought he was, and he was going to end up dying anyway, so he ended up giving away an extra kill that I don't necessarily think needed to happen. But still, Alliance forcing that reaction, giving Loda the space that he needs to farm up another item. Once he gets a BKB, I think their teamfight potential is actually going to be pretty good, considering EGM is now very close to level 7. He wasted his song there, unfortunately, but could be going down mid.
Puppey's there. Mystic Flare does a lot of damage. S4 now trying to help. Doesn't matter. Bro strike on the money. Coil got to the Waning Rift a little late. Here's Loda. Throws out the unstable concoction on Puppey. Engaging but surrounded by all three. Tanky as he is, he just doesn't have the damage output even with that Shadow Blade. So they end up getting a 1-for-0 trade. Loda came as quick as he could. S4 was in position, but just too well executed out of Na'Vi.
And really nice picks. That's the strength that a Skywrath gives you. Insane range, the capability of killing somebody before they can even react. The one thing is, eventually when that Alchemist does get a BKB, you're not going to be able to do it to him. You're going to have to pretty much isolate either the Chen or the Puck in most of these engagements, sometimes even the Naga Siren if you want to make sure the song isn't going to be an issue. But Alliance are still having the same problem right now. S4 just simply doesn't have anything. Granted, Dendy's not tremendously far ahead in terms of CS. He's only sitting at 9 higher than S4. He isn't as reliant on those items as S4 is, and he's just not been given the opportunity to get any of that farm. So Bulldog now going to be coming mid. He's actually 8.5, so he has surpassed Funnick in terms of levels because of that middle fight.
Oh, yeah.
And now Bounty Hunter's contribution to Alliance is going to be huge.
We can see again, Loda did go with the Shadow Blade. I think that's the right choice here. I mean, again, Na'Vi is going to want to fight more and more and more as time wears on. And Alliance going to take the fight to them, and this is the right call. Fight on their own terms. Don't let Na'Vi set up those ganks that have been so successful so far. Puppey spotted out by Bulldog. There's Havos right beside him. Naga's there, throws out the ensnare. There's the track as well. Puppey engages in, but the cooldown's in. But look at the damage coming out of Kuro as well. Puppey.
Oh, the reload came.
Re-engaging Shackle does catch Ake. Funnick with a beautiful Shackle. There's a burrow on the EGM. Loda though re-engages, and there's Funnick chopped down. Epi goes off. EGM melting to it. Not enough. Loda silenced out. Mystic Flare does a lot of damage. Coil re-engagement. Dendy trying to track him down as the rest of the fight continues behind them. S4 still alive. Havos and Kuro. Maybe 200 HP between them. And we even see the creeps getting involved. They will go ahead and pull back. In the end, 7-6 as the dust settles. Beautiful reinitiation out of Na'Vi. Alliance had the jump on them, but Na'Vi got the job done, and the relocate, as you mentioned, absolutely immaculate.
God, Kuro, what a player, man. What a player. Getting Havos out of there just in the nick of time and just turning around and fighting that in general was a really great call. Got the double burrow strike. The call down essentially hit everyone. And, I mean, S4 being forced to buy back. Again, losing a lot of money for that. Granted, Alliance are going to be able to pressure this tier 1, safe lane tier 1, so it's actually worth quite a bit at such an early phase. 15 minutes in, tower's going to go down. So Alliance don't walk away completely empty-handed, but Loda's been traveling a lot now. He's only got well, I shouldn't say only, 107 CS at 15 minutes is still pretty darn good. But his farm probably could have been a bit higher if he didn't have to waste that TP mid. But again, once he gets that BKB, his teamfight contribution is going to be significantly higher because the Gyrocopter, while he is farmed, he's still not to the point where his physical damage is going to threaten the Alchemist all that much. So right. Alliance, their timing window is coming up here very shortly, and middle, EGM could be in some trouble, but he's actually not going to die to that combo. But just the threat of Flare and how much damage Dendy does, it's insane.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the abilities they have to chain with it as well. Shackle Shot, Burrow Strike, Tether Stun. They have a lot of ways to set those up. And what it's going to come down to is just how high a priority they want to put on each individual hero in these fights. Obviously, Loda, a big priority as well. But sometimes just being able to blow up one of the supporting casts on the side of Alliance going to be very, very important. And we're in kind of this interesting situation where you have a Bounty Hunter pickup. Bulldog will be making his way towards drums. He's almost done with them now. But, you know, they need to weather the storm that is the magic damage output Na'Vi has. Na'Vi really the ones under the gun here with this kind of lineup to execute, especially with the IO on top of the magic-centric kind of a lineup they've drafted. But Alliance kind of needs them to do that as well to get a lot out of this Bounty Hunter pick. So you got two teams with two very good reasons to be trying to fight. And I don't think we're going to see the action let up anytime soon. Chin did finish his mech quite some time ago. Now we see Windrunner picking up hers as well. So Funnick going to be able to even that balance.
And some dewarding coming on here from Alliance. So they're going to go for the Roshan. That's something that Alliance love to do. Whenever they get heroes that can do Roshan, they pretty much do it immediately, especially when they're Dire's side. So Power Shot doing some scouting. Na'Vi know this is going on. Now, this is going to be an interesting fight because, honestly, Havos isn't even really close to the fight. And I think Alliance could just be getting this for free, which I think would be a really big mistake.
They're moving over into position. Puppy's the one leading with the phase. You see a Dark Troll Summoner. Looks like Alliance really kind of gun-shy about finishing this out. Roche is down to a quarter. We've got Kuro and Puppy hooked up. Puppy does have an epicenter. Now remember, he can relocate the epicenter once it begins to go off. A poor man's Blink Dagger or a rich one if you want to think of it that way. So heard the shackle shot, but doesn't look like it latched. Again, Roche, very low health. Both teams very trepidatious about abandoning this piece of real estate. In the meantime, Na'Vi moving back over into mid. Looks like Loda and company in the mood to do the same. Gyro has finished his BKB, very important item for him for obvious reasons. However, again, the ensnare, and that just makes the ensnare out of the Naga Siren all the more important. EGM is going to have to be on point and make sure that that is his number one focus and make sure he isn't focused down before he can lock the Gyro down and allow Loda to close the distance and get on top of it.
Well, even if they do ensnare him, all Havos has to do is hit one target because Flat Cannon's going to hit everybody in the fight anyway. Ensnare's not necessarily as effective versus him with the BKB as it would be any melee carry, for example, so I think he's still going to be fine. And it was a really nice move by Na'Vi to start pressuring mid, just force Alliance out of the area of Roshan completely and make them basically move out and allow you to go back to doing whatever it is you were doing. The later the game goes, a Gyrocopter during the late game, his damage output scales so much more, again, because of Flat Cannon. So while Loda might be able to focus the Gyrocopter, he has such a great support cast between Shackles, of course, Wisp being able to relocate him out. We've already seen Kuro do that, and a Sand King to be able to stun and peel for him. But now Loda with the BKB, he can try to go in and focus, but right now it's just both teams more or less sitting around mid. The one thing,
Shackle
and Loda.
Right off the creep, a little bit of trading and paint, but doesn't look like they're going to follow it up. They actually had a couple. Kuro and Puppy are a little bit out of position there, unable to contribute if they had decided to go. Now, Alliance once again going to move into the Roche pit. Roche has regen to a little bit above half health at the moment. Na'Vi is a little bit spread out. As you can see, S4 showing his face at top of that haste room. And Na'Vi looks like Funnick most likely going to take a scout shot, and he will. So he knows what's going on. I don't think they're going to be able to get here, though. The firepower from Alliance just recognizing the movement out of Na'Vi. And that's going to be a free Aegis. That's going to end up going to Loda. In the meantime, there was a tower denied in top as well, so the top tier 2 did end up dropping on the side of Na'Vi.
Just out-positioning by Alliance.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they knew it or not, but Wisp didn't have a TP, so when Havos TPs back to the Tier 2, the only way to get him back to the fight in time is to have the Wisp also teleport to the Tier 2, so you can go in and try to contest the Roshan. But since he didn't have one, as soon as he TP'd out, they basically conceded completely. So now they're actually going to try to force the fight middle, but S4 does have a TP, so they should very easily be able to react to this. And of course, like you said, with the Aegis, I think that Alliance are more than likely going to be able to defend this Tier 1. So Na'Vi getting a little bit behind at this point in time, and a lot of that is due to the fact that Alliance have heroes who effectively utilize the map a lot more. I mean, when you have a Wisp and a Sand King, they're not necessarily known for heroes who farm, per se. The Wisp will follow a hero around who does farm, but he's not going to really get any of his own. So the longer this goes on, Alliance, I think, are getting farther and farther ahead, and they realize that they have an advantage at the moment. They're looking at Na'Vi's Tier 1 mid.
Right now, you really got to worry for Na'Vi. I agree with you. Loda in great shape. He's already picked up the plate mail, so he's taking up armor-wise. That comes after the BKB, which, again, when you look at the damage output Na'Vi is relying on right now, such an important item, and he's making good progress. Again, we take a look at the net worth. He has opened up a fairly large chasm in terms of net worth, 3,500 ahead of the Gyrocopter. When you look at Havos' build, it's it's a very defensive build, farm-oriented build. He's got the Helm of the Dominator, which, by the way, that Helm of the Dominator does have a nice added benefit in allowing him to steal one of Chin's creeps. We actually saw that happen in mid not long ago. So, I mean, the item itself, very farm-centric, will contribute to these early fights in a very subtle way, but he still needs damage. He has to have it, and the other thing about Alliance's lineup, is that Ake is going to be able to extend these fights, not just with the mechanism, but with Hand of God. The longer these fights go between that and Chemical Rage on Loda, the region that comes with that, it's going to be so hard for Na'Vi to fight after that initial burst of magic damage until the Gyro gets absolutely huge.
And that time is something that Alliance are likely to not give them. I mean, right now, they take the Tier 1 for free, more or less. It was completely uncontested, so Alliance getting a little bit farther ahead. Na'Vi definitely getting forced back here. And S4 has an Invis rune. It's going to be wearing off, though. I don't think Alliance have to do this. I mean, they can just go back to doing what they were doing. You know your Alchemist is going to get 6-slotted before the Gyrocopter anyway, and Alliance's team mid-game is still very, very strong, especially on the back of things like track. A Bulldog is going to be level 10 soon, so he's getting very close to level 2 track. Na'Vi going to get spotted here by Alliance and just choose to retreat, which again I feel is the right call. You don't really want to take a fight with your opponent having an Aegis.
Oh, there's a coil, going to catch two. Silence on both. Here comes the call down. Dindy blown up immediately. Kuro can't move. Havos is locked down as well. Kuro blown up. The BKB negating all of the epicenter damage. That's 2-0 and an easy 2-0 at that. Havost on the run will be tracked, but S4, no way to lock him down with the coil already spent. An Alliance beginning to flex their muscles in a big way. We said it during the draft, Draskell, with this kind of a lineup, it's so scary to try and fight against early. But they weathered the storm. The Midas pickup was actually brilliant by Loda because now it basically allowed him to get the two things he needed the most. Shadowblade and BKB. That has allowed him to just take control of this game. Now there's a silence on the puppy. Can they follow it out? He will jaunt in front of him. And no, he won't actually. Havost there to help out. Alliance looked like they wanted to run him down, but thought better of it. Didn't want to overextend. Na'Vi getting in position behind the tower. Funnick looking for a shackle, won't find it. Loda not being near enough to the trees. No jaunt from S4 following the orb. Now keep in mind, they do have Song of the Siren. If they ever want to punish Na'Vi for perhaps over-pursuing after a slow push like this, they're going to have that. Or if they're initiated upon and they don't like the look of a fight, that's just such a strong characteristic of their team.
Right now, if you're a Na'Vi fan, you definitely have to be concerned. They are getting very, very far behind, especially during that last engagement. And Alliance don't have any intention of backing up here. The AC is going to be done soon on the Alchemist, so he's got about another 1,000 gold before that item's completed. And his physical damage is going up much faster than the gyros. And we've seen the difference between Loda having a BKB and not having one. He's able to focus whoever he wants, more or less.
Another coil, going to catch two. That's Kuro and Puppy. Beautiful phase shift of the shackle shot. Now Puppy and Kuro both blown up. Here comes the call down, but Havost can simply not stand and fight. Okay, using the mech, and Havost going to be netted down. There we go. Loda going to town. Beautiful shackle. But EGM isolating Havost and allowing him to be focused because of the BKB, and two more right on top of each other. No longer. That's a full 5-man wipe. An Alliance takes one of two outer tier towers remaining. 40 seconds until Gyro's back up. He does have buyback, and he might have to spend it. They haven't even lost the Aegis. Another 60 seconds, and this just might be Rax.
This is looking like a really quick Rax coming out of Alliance. The usage of Naga Song, every single time Alliance play this hero, they do the same thing. Exactly what you said. Just wait for the BKB, isolate the hero with it, kill him. The rest of the team can't really do anything at this point because your main carry also has a BKB, and now the Rax are completely exposed. There's no glyph, and it doesn't look like they're going to be able to stop it.
Right now, up, it's close. Here we go, beautiful epicenter, gonna catch one. There's Hand of God, Bulldog will make it away. S4, back end, ready to fight. Mystic Flare caught most of Bulldog, but Loda with that BKB just doesn't matter. Funnick can do nothing but run. The melee racks are already a shambles. And Alliance gonna be able to retreat. They may get EGM. And yeah, that's a worthy sacrifice if you're Alliance. Losing your support Naga Siren, Loda will be able to Shadow Blade away, so Na'Vi does not come away completely empty-handed, but I'll tell you what, losing your rack short of 25 minutes, not the situation you want to be in when you're running this kind of a lineup. They have simply run out of gas. That magic damage we knew was so potent has just reached its best buy date.
You know, it's ingenious drafting by Alliance, because if you think about it, just the concept of being able to get whatever hero you want alone because of BKB, and there's only one BKB buyer on the side of Na'Vi, you can just always win the fight as long as you wait for him to pop it. And he has to, because if he doesn't, he gets stuck by Coil. There's Unstable Concoction. Alchemist is actually great against Gyrocopter in that regard because he can just go in and trade hits, and the Alchemist simply can't, or the Gyrocopter can't keep up because of the way that he has to build. I mean, he had to go for a BKB, whereas the Alchemist is allowed to go things like Shadow Blade because he's a bit tankier, and his right-click damage scales just a little bit faster. So all in all, just fantastic play coming out from Alliance here in game number 1. And Loda, he's got the AC finished. We now see a Eul's picked up on S4, so targeting him is actually going to be impossible. Now he can dispel that Ancient Seal whenever he wants to make sure that he can always utilize Phase Shift and be in the right position. So everything really going right here for Alliance.
Well, this is where things get rough for Na'Vi. This is where Alliance right now, they're falling back in their farming. But when they feel like it, they're going to be able to start to just take over this Radiant side jungle. And it's going to be so difficult for Na'Vi to look for those picks for all the reasons you just named. BKBs are becoming plentiful. We've got one on Loda. We've got one, of course, on the Bounty Hunter as well. We can see EGM's picked up 2/3 of his BKB. 900 gold is all EGM needs to complete the third BKB on the side of Alliance. And at that point, what targets do you have? You have Ake, who has a Force Staff as well as a Mechanism as well as Hand of God. You're not going to be blowing him up no matter how hard you try. And then, of course, the last remaining hero on their side, the Puck, who by his very nature is tough to track down. Phase Shift, Eul's, Blink Dagger, It's just so hard to imagine how Na'Vi, unless Alliance is just 100% overextended, how they're going to be able to have anywhere near enough damage to basically buy time for Havos. That's the name of the game. Havos has picked up his Demon Edge. He is trying to get that damage, and don't get me wrong, he's hitting okay. He's doing about 200 damage a shot, but when you're talking about the innate survivability, the fact that EGM has Song of the Siren, even though it is just level 1, so that is one thing Na'Vi has going for them. The cooldown is still quite long on that reset button, but really, if that's the best thing you can say, yeah, Alliance has just played this game well, and here we go. Taking over this jungle, robbing Na'Vi of that income.
And once they get that last tier 2 in the bottom lane, it's bye-bye map control for Na'Vi. They're not going to be able to do much of anything about it. They're just smoking top. They want to try to get something. They know that taking a 5-on-5 engager right now is more or less suicide. That's how far ahead Alliance is at this point. And it seems like only maybe 10 minutes ago, the game was really close in terms of how close the gold was, the experience, but it just gets out of control so fast when Alliance win team fights as handily as they do. And again, a lot of that is due to the Naga pick. When they banned out the Prophet, the Lone Druid, and they leave heroes like Naga open, Alliance are spectacular at utilizing that hero and either resetting the fight or just forcing yourself into a much better position. Now the racks, again, exposed from Na'Vi. No glyph. Here comes the teleport, though, from Wisp.
BKB's there. Epicenter going to do some good damage, but not nearly enough. Just don't have the firepower. There's a cooldown. However, Havos focused down, pops his own BKB. Hand of God gets her gloves back up. And Alliance at this point, really and truly just looking untouchable. Yeah, they call the GG. Not even waiting for that second set of racks to drop. And really, what can you say? You're talking 28 minutes, 35 seconds, all the time it took for Alliance to handle Na'Vi here in game 1, doubling them up by kill score, 18-9 by the time all was said and done. And the gold, well, we saw it at the end. You're talking 5 digits, just an utter and complete dismantling of Na'Vi.
It escalated really quickly, especially when you keep in mind the Bounty Hunter started off. He was like level 2 at 9 minutes into the game. He simply didn't have the start that he wanted to, but eventually Puck started getting his bearing on things. They get good initiations, take a couple of good team fights, and that was all she wrote for Na'Vi.
Na'Vi takes game 1. This best of 3 underway. We'll see if Alliance can turn the bagel in, or excuse me, Na'Vi can turn the bagel into the breadstick and give us a game 3, or if Alliance is going to walk away 2-0 winners. We'll throw it back to James at the caster's desk.
Thanks, AC and Draskell. So, Alliance 1-0 up, but the start of the game didn't look that amazing for them. Or for you guys, was it always going to be their map?
Well, they had the Alchemist farming the whole entire time. Havos had to rotate mid a little bit early, and they were ahead on kills. They got the first blood, but once
Na'Vi got the first blood.
Yeah, Na'Vi got first blood on middle, but Na'Vi's lineup was just all based on ganking. And if they got behind in ganks, and once S4 got his blink, they were always on the defensive. They couldn't really do anything else. They didn't really have anything that could break BKBs. They didn't have any exceptional form on Havos because he was forced to help his team out in the mid game. They didn't have any good team fight either compared to the Puck and the Naga Siren into Concoction, which we saw multiple times out of Alliance. And their strat was decent. Skyrest, very good versus Puck, but I think he needs more of a lineup built around it.
I also think one of the key issues from Na'Vi was the fact that they let Alliance get a lineup they're so incredibly comfortable with. They get the Arche on the Chen, they get S4 on the Puck, they get Loda on the Alchemist, one of the best farmers in the game right now, and then they have EGM on the Siren as well, and really, you ban out Admiral Bulldog, but he's just going to pick up a Bounty Hunter as his 5th choice to offlane. Alliance just has no weak spots right now, I think.
So do you think they just need to counter with an equally strong lineup? They gave them the Wisp.
Yeah, I think they need to come up with something better than... I don't feel like Na'Vi's lineup had the synergy.
Yeah, I would have liked to see a Darkseer perhaps instead of the Windrunner. They needed some sort of counter initiation too, because once Loda was just charging with the BKB, they could really do nothing versus it. And Dendi, he had a decent start, and it just didn't really amount to anything in the mid game.
I think like their counter initiation, they were looking for a lot from their Sand King in many ways, but once the BKB comes up on the Alchemist, it's kind of hard for Sand King to be relevant. And also we saw really early on, I think it was just gone 4 minutes, there was a Midas and brown boots on Loda. And I was like, how is this even possible? And I was like, okay, he must have maxed Greevil's Greed, and then at least got
S4 had these amazing initiates all throughout.
Yeah, he did, but you can just see Loda with the BKB up and just able to do what he wants, really. He got really big. And I believe now there's going to be a song. Havos pops his BKB. They use the song on EGM to isolate him, and they run him down. And Havos, you know...
And after this, the 2-man concoction.
Oh, yeah. And it was, you know, obvious that the that Na'Vi thought, yeah, there is a fighting chance, but we need to get this gyrocopter, his MKB. We need to get him his item, and Alliance were just like, no, we're not going to give you that chance to farm. We're just going to take it to your front door. And they kick the door down.
And that's just what they do each and every game. Even if they're behind, they just at the 20-minute mark, they gather up, they do their objectives, they take down the towers, they take the fight to the enemy, and they oftentimes, on just about any game, aside from that one game they dropped, have been winning them the games.
So it doesn't seem like Na'Vi can really contest them in the early game if both of them get drafts that they want. So what strategy do you think Na'Vi should employ if they want to take down Alliance?
I think they need to put on the same kind of aggression and pushability that Alliance shows in their games. So if Na'Vi could get the hands on a Chen or disrupt Arcus Chen with an Enchantress, I think that would be great for them. Maybe take Dendi on a Shadow Fiend mid, something that can push on early with a BKB.
All right, well, we'll see what happens in game number 2. But Bruno, we'll come to you and talk to you about the game in just a little bit. But it seems like you've started a trend because there's a lot of people